1.2 million views. That's the number sitting on top of a highlight reel of Alex Eala beating Iga Swiatek, and it was the single most watched video on Wimbledon's official channel across the entire 2026 tournament. Not the women's final. Not the men's final. Not a match involving anyone who actually walked away with a trophy. A third-round match. Sit with that for a second, because if you follow tennis at all, you know exactly how strange this is. Wimbledon posts hundreds of videos over 2 weeks, every match the eventual champion plays, every marquee night, pushed by one of the biggest marketing machines in sport. And all of that got outrun by a Saturday afternoon match involving a player ranked outside the top 20. Here's my claim, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes proving it. That number isn't a fun stat. It's an early warning sign, and if you read it correctly, it tells you almost exactly what's coming in New York this week. 3 things. First, there's a second number from that same tournament that almost nobody has mentioned, and it's stranger than the 1.2 million. Second, I'll show you why those views didn't come from tennis fans, and once you see where they actually came from, the whole story flips. Third, I'll show you what tournaments and brands quietly did after seeing this data, because they moved fast, and the proof is sitting in the US Open schedule right now. Quick background. Alex Eala is 21, from Quezon City, left-handed, trained for years at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. This year she became the first player, not first woman, first player, from the Philippines to win a WTA singles title in a country of over 100 million people. The Wimbledon match itself was July 4th, third round, against the defending champion. Eala won it in a first-set tiebreak that stretched to 11-9, then took the second set comfortably. It was also the second time she'd beaten that same opponent, after an earlier win in Miami. That put her into the second week of a Grand Slam, a first for her country. Genuinely historic. Upsets generate views, I'm not disputing that. Here's where it gets odd. A big upset has a predictable shape online. It spikes in the first day, holds for maybe another, then fades as the news cycle moves on. Nobody's watching a third-round highlight once the semifinals arrive. That's the pattern, every year, every sport. That's not what happened here. This video kept climbing while the tournament kept going, past the quarterfinals, past the final, until it sat on top of everything Wimbledon posted that fortnight. Which means the people watching weren't following the tournament. They were following something else. And that's the second number. The second most watched video from the entire 2026 championships wasn't a match at all. It was Eala's press conference. Roughly 580,000 views, of a grey room, a microphone, reporters asking about grass-court footwork. No rally, no crowd, no editing. Nearly 600,000 people sat through that. A highlight reel proves people want to watch tennis. A press conference proves people want to watch her. So who are they? Not the usual Wimbledon crowd. Look at Washington, early August, the DC Open. Before Eala hit a ball, the tournament's own ticketing team reported that 80% of public inquiries were about her, in a field that included Jessica Pegula and Naomi Osaka. She beat 3 seeded players on her way to a final delayed by rain into a Monday, historically a dead crowd day. The stands were full anyway, flags everywhere, and organizers called it one of the best crowds the event had ever had. 2 days later in Toronto, tickets to her opening match sold out in under 30 minutes, so fast the tournament moved her matches to center court because nothing smaller could hold the demand. Then they changed the food at the concession stands to include Filipino dishes. Tournaments don't rework a menu for one player. They rework it for a community that's already showing up. Here's the reframe. We usually assume an athlete becomes famous because of their sport. Wins pile up, fans follow. Flip it. What if the sport is just what she happens to be carrying, and she's the actual platform? Eala has said courts back home are suddenly booked solid, that people of every age are picking up rackets because of her. That's not fans switching allegiance, that's a new audience entering the sport from zero. The clearest evidence comes from her rivals. Coco Gauff beat her badly in Dubai, then spoke warmly about her afterward, and Filipino fans started showing up at Gauff's own matches because of that comment. Naomi Osaka described the same thing in Toronto, fans cheering for her simply because of their connection to Eala. A fan base that lends its support to someone else isn't attached to results. It's attached to identity, and identity-based audiences don't collapse after a bad month. Put the two datasets together. Ticket demand proves she moves people who can reach a stadium. View counts prove she moves people on the other side of the planet who'll never buy a ticket. That's a market tennis has been trying to unlock for 2 decades. It's not just data, either. Nike built her a specific piece for Wimbledon, a white Sampaguita flower hair tie, the Philippines' national flower, worn on her center court debut. A Manila-based designer built a matching piece around it for Vogue Philippines. You can't manufacture 580,000 people watching a press conference. You earn that by being first. The sport itself is saying it out loud now. Jimmy Connors, a man who built a career controlling hostile crowds, called the Filipino support intimidating for opponents, a technical read, not a compliment. Felix Auger-Aliassime, world number 4, is playing mixed doubles with her at the US Open and openly said is looking forward to riding what he called her effect, joking that she's younger but she's the one with the crowd. And Osaka, after losing to her in Washington, put it in the plainest commercial language possible. She sells a lot of tickets. Now the math. Eala is projected to hit a career-high ranking around 18th when rankings update this week, making her the highest-seeded Filipino in Grand Slam history. Look at everyone near her in the rankings. Solid players, deeper resumes, none of them selling out sessions in half an hour or changing a stadium's menu. That gap between scoreboard value and attention value is usually tiny. For her, it's enormous. So here's the number to actually watch at this US Open. Not her serve percentage, but how her first-round highlight compares to every other match in the draw. Wimbledon played out in European time, while most of the Filipino diaspora in North America was asleep. New York flips that, prime time, live, for hundreds of thousands of people who couldn't watch before. If the pattern holds, 1.2 million isn't the ceiling. It's the floor. And there's one more detail buried in her schedule nobody's connected yet. Before the main draw even starts, Eala plays Arthur Ashe Stadium 3 separate times, mixed doubles twice, and an exhibition, none of it worth a single ranking point. Arthur Ashe seats over 20,000 people, and nobody gets handed 3 nights there because of a ranking. Someone inside that building looked at exactly this data and scheduled around it. So when she walks out at Flushing Meadows, you're not just watching a tennis match. You're watching an industry that's already repriced what she's worth. Does the number double this time? Triple? I don't know yet. Nobody does, but I'll be tracking it round by round and comparing it to the rest of the draw. Tell me your guess in the comments. What does her first round video do this time?